What's going on, guys? Billy here, and I just got wrapped up shooting and editing my first aerial cinematic video shot entirely with the 8K camera mounted to the Autel EVO II. Now, I've got to say, it's probably one of my favorite videos that I've ever put together and uploaded to this channel, so if you want to check it out, I'll leave a link up in the top right corner, and I'll put one down in the description. Now, as you guys can probably imagine, it took a lot of time to acquire all of the clips for that video, so I think I logged a little over 15 hours of flight time in under a week's time, and that's given me a lot of really good experience flying this drone to understand what I do and don't like about it. Now, don't get me wrong, there's a whole lot to like about the EVO II. It's long flight time, it's quiet flight, also it's top speed, and of course the image quality, man. This ranks up at the top of the drone market with some of the best footage I've ever gotten off of a drone camera. So don't let anything that I say in this video fool you. This is still a great drone, but there is one problem amongst some other things that I found with the EVO II that makes me never want to fly it again. I'd rather go and choose my Inspire 2 or my Phantom or my Mavic over this drone because of this one issue. And I'm not gonna beat around the bush, I'm just gonna come out and say it. This drone flies like a brick. Now, if you guys don't know what I mean, I basically mean it doesn't fly well. And this became apparent to me after I got my Mavic Air 2. That drone flies so good. It's so precise. It goes exactly where you want it to go. It just feels so smooth. It feels right. Whereas the EVO II, again, just feels like a brick. It goes wherever it wants to. And what's a great flight time and a great camera when the drone just doesn't fly all that well? Now, referring back to one of the shots that I included in that 8K cinematic video reel, it was a shot where I flew down the Schuylkill River with the Philadelphia skyline in the background as 76 was on the right side and the Philadelphia Art Museum was on the left side. This is a shot that I always get with any brand new drone that I'm testing out. It's one of my favorite shots, of course, but you guys wouldn't imagine how many times and how many takes it took me to get that shot right. I think that I was there for probably 30 minutes getting that one shot. I burned an entire battery and I had over 20 takes just trying to get the same exact shot. So we look back at one of the first takes that I had here. Flying down the river, everything looks fine, but the drone begins to veer to the left and the propellers kind of show up in the frame. And of course I knew that I just had to stop and I had to go and restart. Now let's move on to my next take here. I thought everything was going to be fine. It actually was flying down the river at a really good pace. The drone wasn't really shaking around all that much. Sure, it was bobbing back and forth, but I knew I could take care of that in post. But then the drone begins to veer to the left. And then it comes back to the center. And then again, it veers to the left. And then it veers to the left again. And then I noticed that it was going to try and probably veer to the left again. I wanted to correct myself, fly to the right, but it just ended up totally ruining the entire shot. And as you guys can see, it happened again and again, and it just continued to happen until I finally told myself, okay, I've got to slow this drone down and just shoot it properly. And that's the actual shot that made it into my cinematic video reel. Now, moving on to the second example that I want to share with you guys here. This is when I brought the EVO II out to Long Beach Island and I was tracking a boat here in this specific shot, and this is pretty rough here. So as you can see, the drone continues to enter the top portion of the frame. I think that happens like 2 or 3 other times in this specific clip. Also, the drone is like bobbing up and down and it's kind of moving from side to side. And despite me pushing this thing full throttle moving forward, the drone periodically slows down and changes its speed. So all of that combined gives me a shot that is just unusable. Now, luckily, the final like 10 seconds of this shot is actually something that I included in the cinematic video reel because everything finally came together. But look, if I had to describe the Autel EVO II's biggest problem, it's the fact that it's unreliable. Like if I have a small window of time to get the shot, I don't think I could trust the EVO II to get that done for me. Now, if I'm shooting the city skyline or just a single building, I know I'm gonna have some time to change my angle and try and do a couple different takes to get my shot perfect. But if I'm trying to track a moving subject that might only be there for a minute or two, like the boat I was showing you, well, I want to make sure I've got a drone I can trust to get that shot on the first time. I don't want to be using the EVO II worrying that I'm going to see the drone in the top of the frame, or it's going to bob up and down, or the speed varies as I'm flying for some odd reason, or maybe the drone will just totally veer off to the left, ruining my shot entirely. Now, on top of all of those things, there's also some other, I guess issues that I have that build up to this drone not being reliable. First of all, this controller is just not really all that good. The sticks are okay, they do feel precise, but on the other hand, the gimbal wheel on the backside of the remote controller has been problematic for me. So for starters, I feel like it's a little bit too high on the backside of the remote. I also feel like it's a little bit too sensitive and the range of motion just isn't there. Like when I start to begin to spin it to the left, it's almost already at its full range of motion. Now look, a remote controller's design is very subjective, so even though I might not like this remote controller, you might love it. So I can't say that this is the root of all of my problems. Of course, the drone does a fair bit of messing up on its own. It'll veer to the left. For some reason, it bobs up and down, but also I've messed up personally on my own just because I can't get good control over the drone because I just don't really like the remote controller. Again, not a huge excuse. It might not happen to you because you might like the remote controller. I figured I'd add it here in this video. Now, I've also noticed that as I'm flying around in ludicrous mode at 45 miles an hour, the top speed, that's where I notice a lot of the issues with the drone veering to the side, bobbing up and down, and just not being as precise. Now, I understand there's going to be some people out there saying that sport mode and DJI drones and ludicrous mode and Autel drones are not meant to shoot cinematic video with. I totally disagree with that statement. I am almost always in sport mode shooting cinematic video with all of my DJI drones, so why wouldn't I be able to do that on the Autel EVO II? So look, when you're ludicrous mode, yes, it's fast, but it is very imprecise. Now, the final thing I'm going to bring up that is kind of the root of a lot of the issues that I've been having with the EVO II is that you're not able to customize how the drone flies. And I'm going to do a direct comparison between what DJI offers and what Autel offers. So within the Autel Explorer application for the EVO II, we've got the ability to change the EXP settings for the rotational movement of the drone, but that's pretty much it. Now, if we look at the Go application for DJI's lineup of drones, we've got the ability to change the EXP settings for the throttle, the rotational movement of the drone, as well as the forward, backward, left, and right movement of the drone. We've also got the ability to change the sensitivity settings of the attitude, the brake, and the yaw movement limit. And finally, we've got gain settings to change the pitch, roll, yaw, and vertical movement. Now, this low level of customization doesn't end there. We also see it when we're trying to change how the gimbal functions on the Autel EVO. So we've got the opportunity to change the EXP settings of the gimbal, but again, that's pretty much it. If we look at what the Go application offers, we could change the pitch speed as well as the pitch smoothness, which really allows you to dial in exactly how the gimbal moves, giving you the movement that you need. So look, there's a whole lot of things that are kind of stacked up against the Autel EVO II in my opinion. Some of them are personal preference for me, but I can get over personal preference to try and get the best video shooting drone out there that I can. So I would love to shoot 8K video at all times with the Autel EVO II, but the fact that it is an unreliable drone is going to continue to hold me back from using it. And that's a shame because if it flew fine, it would be my everyday drone because it's that good. But the fact that it's just weirdly veering off to the left and bobbing up and down, it's just something that I personally don't want to deal with. Anyway, guys, let me know what you think down in the comment section below. And as always, I'll talk to you later. Peace.